Okay, so we have a new warm-up. This, I'm not going to try to read that, was a Mayan city is in what is now Mexico. And this picture shows El Castillo, which is also known as the Pyramid of Kukulkan, which is a pyramid located in the ruins of that place. So this is a pyramid, and that temple, that pyramid shape, which is a temple, at the top of that pyramid is approximately 24 meters above the ground. And there are 91 steps leading up to the temple. And then obviously there's a floor. So it makes a triangle, right? If you are standing on the 50th step, how high above the ground would you be standing? So far on your homework, you've been practicing solving similar figure problems using proportions with rectangles. And we did a little bit of triangles in class, but you set it up the same way. Go ahead and do this proportion problem using this ratio, large triangle over small triangle. I'll let you set that up and solve for x. Set it up, large over small, 24 over x or n, or whatever variable you would like to use, equals 91 over 50. And Sean did mention that you do like to have the variable on the right side. So if you would like, you can flip that around so the 91 over 50 is on the left. Because it's an equation, you can read it the other directions as well. And then to solve it, you can either use multipliers like we originally have been doing, or you can read it as the equation and flip it using upside down property so that the variable is on top. Multiply both sides by 24. The 24s cancel out, so I have n by itself. 50 times 24 is 1,200 divided by 21, n equals 13 and 17 over 91, or about 13.2 meters. That's how high above the ground you would be. Today's lesson is 35B, proportions and percents. You're going to solve word problems involving parts, wholes, and percents using proportions, just like we just practiced using proportions. But now we're going to talk about percents. And you're going to explain in word that process to solve the problems involving all of those things. You can use this skill in real life problems all the time. Anytime you buy something, you have to pay a sales tax. Sales tax is a percentage of the amount that you have to pay for that product. Okay. You can also use percents and proportions when you're trying to calculate tip or finding commission, discount, when you use coupons, all that stuff. We're going to learn more of that on our next lesson. So a little bit of background knowledge first. Proportions, you all know how to solve. So do this quickly with me. Solving for x, you can either use multipliers like I first taught you, or you can multiply both sides by, in this case, what number? 15. So that the x is by itself. 4 times 15 is 60, and then 60 divided by 7 would be 8 4/7. If the variable is on the bottom, again, you can just use multipliers, or you can use upside down property and flip it the whole thing so that the n is now on top. Either way will work. If you have the n on top, then you can multiply both sides by 9, which gives you 144 divided by 7, which is 20 4/7. Any questions on solving regular proportions? This is a skill we'll be using today. Everyone okay? All right, look at your notes there. We have this proportion set up here. Sometimes when you solve word problems that have percents in it, it's easier to use a proportion to solve that. There's other ways to solve it, but since we know how to solve proportions, it's pretty easy to use a proportion to solve it. So here, this is on your notes, right? I did leave some white space around it. I would like you to write small and fill in around it. We're going to label all the parts here. This percent symbol, that is the percent that is given in the problem. So if you see a word problem that says 35%, That's the number, 35. You're going to plug into that spot right there on top of the 100. And percent means per 100. If you think about pennies in our American money system, cents, right? Pennies are cents. We call them cents. That's 100 cents. 100 pennies makes $1. So per cent means per 100. That's why it's over 100. That 100 is always going to be there. The part is the amount that is part of the whole thing. And then obviously the whole is the whole thing, like the total. I'll give you some time to copy all that down. Look at number 1. It says Curtis makes 7 out of 20 free throws. What is his shooting percentage? So remember, that's percent over 100 equals part over whole. Looking at this word problem, do you see a percent number? Do you see that symbol percent anywhere? No, that's what we're trying to find, right? So we're going to set up our proportion as blank over 100 equals blank over blank. And we don't know what percentage, that's what we're trying to find. So we're going to use x or n, whatever variable you would like to use. And then it says 7 out of 20. Is 7 the part number or the whole number? Part. It's 7 out of a total of 20, right? So 20 being the total number would be on the bottom. Now it looks like a proportion you know how to solve. Go ahead and solve this proportion. Multiply both sides by 100 so that n is by itself. 7 times 100 you can easily do in your head. What would that be? 700. And then divided by 20, you could reduce this ratio first, divide both of those by 10 so that these zeros are gone, and just do 70 divided by 2 instead of 700 divided by 20, just to make it life easier. And you should get 35%. And I do want you to write this answer as a sentence because it is a word problem after all. So Curtis had a shooting percentage of 35%. 7 out of 20 means he made 35% of those throws. Number 2. Mark received a $3 tip on a bill of $15. What percent was his tip? If you don't know what a tip is, please fill in the blank on your notes there. A tip is the extra amount of money that you pay somebody for doing a good job. So for example, let's say Joe is a waiter. He earns $5 tip for being a good waiter at his restaurant. So remember, percent over 100 equals part over whole. In this word problem, do you see that percent sign anywhere? Or the word percent anywhere? With the number? No, we don't know what that percentage, so we're going to put our variable there. Is 3 the part or the whole? The part. And then 15 is the entire bill, so that's the whole number. Go ahead and solve this proportion. Multiply both sides by what to get n by itself? What number is n being divided by right now? That says n over 100. So I want to times 100 to get rid of it, right? So n's now alone. 3 times 100 is obviously 300. Divided by 15 would be 20%. So Mark received a 20% tip on his bill of $15. That's a pretty generous tip. Pretty good tip. Any questions so far? Great. Let's look at number 3. 80% of the students in Ms. May's algebra class do their homework regularly. If she has 40 students, how many do their homework? So again, percent over 100 equals part over whole. In this word problem, do you see a percent anywhere?
Yes.
What is it?
80.
It's 80, so that goes in the percent spot. 40 students, is that the part or the whole? Is that the whole class or just some of them? That's the whole class, so that's going to be the bottom number, which means your n's going to be the part. How many students, what part of her class does their homework? Go ahead and solve this one. Now, I've said this before. as a word of advice, you can, before you start multiplying and dividing, take that ratio that you are given and reduce it to make your life easier. You could easily, quickly divide this by 10. So you get 8 over 10 equals n over 40. And I'm sure all of you have to agree that this is a lot easier to multiply 40 to both sides now. Right? 40 times 8 is a lot easier to do than 40 times 80. Can't you agree with that? Smaller numbers are always easier. In fact, you can even reduce this further to make it even easier. Now, I can only give you advice. It's up to you if you want to reduce then multiply or multiply then reduce. I like to reduce then multiply so I can do it in my head more easily because it's smaller numbers, but that is up to you. On here, I did not reduce to show my work because I know a lot of you don't, so I'm just showing you what it looks like. If you multiply both sides by 40, you get 3,200 over 100. And if you cross out those zeros, which is what you're really doing, is dividing top and bottom by 100, you get 32. So that would be 32 students do their homework. Raise your hand if you got this one correct. Excellent. Any questions about number 3? Who reduced and then did their math? Who did it this way without reducing? All right, interesting. Let's look at number 4. A real estate agent earns 12% commission on all sales. If she sold houses totaling $50,000, how much commission did she earn? In the box on your notes, write this down. A commission is the amount of money a salesperson earns after selling a product. So if you ever gone shopping at like Macy's or Nordstrom's or a car salesman or a real estate agent, when you sell something, like if you buy clothes at Macy's, that person that's helping you choose clothes, right, that person doesn't get all the money that you just paid for, right? Macy's gets that money. The money that they make is a commission. It's the amount of money that they make after you buy something. After they sell something, that percent is a commission. Or real estate. If they sell $50,000 worth of houses, that real estate agent that you get to talk to in the house, and you're like, oh, this is the tour of the house, blah, 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 and they sell it to you, that person doesn't get to keep that $50,000. Their company keeps it. They make a percentage of that, which is called commission. Exactly. Exactly, because it's a percentage of that number. So the bigger amount that is the total, whatever that percentage is, ends up being a bigger amount too.
So like if a real estate agent gets like promoted or something, does the commission percentage like go on?
Say it again.
Like if someone gets like promoted, does the commission
Promoted?
percentage?
Yeah, probably. Promotion probably comes with a higher commission. That makes sense. So again, percent over 100 equals part over whole. In this word problem, do you see a percentage? What number is that? So that goes in the percent spot. Is 50,000 the total of all of her sales or just part? That's total, so that's the bottom number. And you're solving for her commission, which is the part. Now this problem has lots of zeros in it. I recommend reducing before you start multiplying. Make your life easier. Okay, multiplying both sides by 50,000. 12 times 50,000 is 600,000. And if you divide top and bottom by 100, you are left with 6,000. So her commission is $6,000 if she sells $50,000 worth of houses. Raise your hand if you got this correct. Excellent, excellent. Number 5. John paid $60 for a game plus $7.20 sales tax. What percent sales tax did he pay? So let's say you went to GameStop, you're buying that new game for your Xbox, and it costs $60, right? But you go to the counter, and they ask for more than $60. That extra money that you're paying is that sales tax. You don't just pay whatever the price tag says, you have to pay sales tax as well. And that is a percentage of how much you paid. So a percentage of 60 is that extra money you're paying. In this case, it's $7.20 extra. And I want to know what that percentage was. So let's set this up. Remember, percent over 100 equals part over whole. Sales tax, fill in the blank, is an additional amount of money paid on most of the things you buy. Do you see a percent in this problem?
No.
So that's going to be your N. Is 60 the whole price or just part of it?
Whole.
That's the whole game price. And then 720 is the part.
What did
In 4th or 5th grade, you learn how to multiply this. It should not be too hard. You don't even have to stack and multiply this. 720 times 100. 7.20 times 100 times 100. That really just makes it look like the decimal completely disappears. This would be just left as 720. 720 divided by 60. That gives you 12%. So John paid 12% sales tax on that game. So he paid the $60 and 12% more, which would be $7.20 more.
So
Okay, last one. Number 6 is the same type of problem. It's still about sales tax. Julie paid $24 for a DVD plus some sales tax of $1.92. What percent is $1.92 of 24? So percent over 100 equals part over whole. Did it give us a percent? Nope. So that's going to be our variable. What's the part this time? $1.92, and the whole is 24. Again, if you multiply by 100, what does that decimal number become? What's 1.92 times 100? 192. That shouldn't be hard, guys. Then divide by 24. 8%. She paid 8% sales tax. Anyone have any questions about today's lesson? Pretty good? Alrighty. Let's talk about that content objective. What was it again, number 1? Ready? Share.